The 1992 Dayton, Ohio Christmas killings. 26 years ago, a Christmas horror settled over Dayton, Ohio, when four young friends went on a violent rampage for no good reason. One of them, Laura Taylor, goaded her pals by declaring, "Let's get some drama in our lives." That they will. Over 3 days, beginning on Christmas Eve 1992, they murdered 6 people. Strangers, acquaintances, and ex-lovers in what police called a joy-killing spree. Once they tasted blood, said Dayton Police Sergeant George Hammond, they couldn't stop. The ringleader was the hulking, marvelous Keene, 19. His accomplices included his girlfriend Taylor, 16, DeMarcus Smith, 17, and Smith's girlfriend Heather Matthews, 20. Keene was not a template killer. He had never been arrested and was a good student until his brother was killed while committing a robbery in 1991. This had a profound effect on him, according to a court report. He became depressed, virtually gave up on his educational efforts for a time, and was morose and introspective. Keene moved to California to live with his father, but returned to Dayton in August 1992 after conflicts arose over money. He walked away from his mother's Dayton home early that December and landed in a flophouse on Yuma Place, across the Great Miami River from downtown Dayton. There, he and his pals connived how to make a quick buck for Christmas. They settled on a plan to rob Joseph Wilkerson, 34, an acquaintance of Taylor, by promising a Christmas Eve orgy with the two women. They went to his Dayton home and lashed him to his bed before Keene stepped in and shot him through the heart. They made off with a pathetic booty, a microwave oven, small TV, phone, curling iron, and blow dryer, along with Wilkerson's car. Later that day, Danita Gillette, an 18-year-old mother, became the second victim. She was making a call in a phone booth on Neal Avenue when Keene pointed a gun through the glass and said, "Merry Christmas, bitch." They took her coat and Fila sneakers, then fired 9 shots into the booth as Gillette begged for her life. She had only 50 cents in her pockets. Sometimes on this job, you can look at the scene and get an idea of why, Detective Doyle Burke later told the Dayton Daily News. But in some cases, and this is a good example, there is no why. There's just no reason whatsoever. The last Christmas Eve victim was Heather Matthews' ex-boyfriend, Jeffrey Wright, shot 4 times in the legs by Smith outside the Yuma Place house. He would go on to survive. On Christmas morning, Laura Taylor put a deadly shot in the head of her own ex-boyfriend, Richmond Maddox. Next, Keene and Smith carjacked a Dodge Shadow at a gas station. Early on December 26th, the gang robbed a mini-mart on a decrepit corner of West 5th Street. They shot and killed the counterwoman, Sarah Abraham, 38, after she'd handed over all the contents of the till, just $44. The gang then decided to cover its tracks by committing 2 more murders. 2 acquaintances from the Yuma City Place flop, Marvin Washington, 19, and Wendy Cottrell, 16, had witnessed the shooting of Wright, Matthews' ex. Fearing they would snitch, the gang took them to a gravel pit where Keene and Smith proceeded to kill them. No prize was too petty. they took Cottrell's shoes. The spree might have gone on, but it soon ended by chance. Police Sergeant John Huber spotted the black Dodge Shadow that had been reported carjacked just the day before. He pulled over the car, believing he was arresting car thieves, but found several guns within. Surprisingly, Huber said, they all cooperated and put their hands up. At that point, police were unaware that Dayton was in the midst of the worst spree killings in its history. The bodies of Wilkerson, the first victim, and the gravel pit victims had not yet been found, and in a city accustomed to fewer than one murder a week, the cluster of 3 killings had not yet been linked. But eventually, detectives knitted together the bizarre story of 4 lost souls who killed simply because they had nothing better to do for Christmas. The Dayton Four were charged with multiple felonies, including capital murder. As juveniles under the law, Smith and Taylor were immune from capital punishment. Matthews cut a deal, testifying after prosecutors agreed not to seek her execution, but Keene was not spared. After he was arrested, he sent a letter of remorse to his childhood church in Dayton, and defense attorneys argued he suffered a form of post-traumatic stress disorder related to the death of his brother. But Keene was convicted and condemned to die. Comeuppance for his 3 days of madness arrived on July 21st, 2009, when he was executed by lethal injection. Asked whether he had anything to say, Keene replied, "No, I have no words." The cops felt likewise. This was a game. It was simply for fun, Detective Burke told the Dayton paper. They had taken these people's lives just the way we would swat a fly. 26 years after the murders, Matthews, Smith, and Taylor are still in prison, now in their 40s. Parole is very unlikely.